Welcome to the Tech Matchmaker, the show where contact center challenges meet their perfect tech match. I'm your host, Gina Gibson, and in just 15 minutes, we serve up the smartest, coolest innovations shaking up the contact center industry. Whether you're searching for your next solution or just love staying ahead of the curve, we've got the insights to keep you in the know. Let's dive in and discover what's next. I promise you, it's going to be fun. Hello, everybody. Today we are chatting with Jason Hiland, who is the CRO of CollaborationRoom.ai, about bringing remote teams together collaboratively. Jason, thanks so much for joining us today. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you very much, Gina. I was super excited when you invited me, and I'm looking forward to having our conversation today, as always.
Wonderful. Well, let's start with the basics, Jason. Tell us a little bit about yourself and one thing that people might not find on LinkedIn.
Okay. Well, you've already said it. I'm Jason Hiland. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Collaboration Room. I guess that's what I do, not really who I am. So who am I? Well, let's see. I'm an Indiana kid who lives in the desert out here in Phoenix for the last 15 years. I am married to a wonderful woman named Lindsay. We are non-breeders, meaning we have no kids. We leave that to, we're fantastic aunts and uncles, and that's what we like, but we have lots of fur babies. I would not be surprised if you hear some dogs, or it happens every now and then, you may see a cattail go in front of me here. I'm like Dr. Doolittle in here. Look, I'm a gym rat, and I enjoy being outside and traveling. The one thing that most people probably wouldn't know is that I am actually ex-military. I did 8 years in the Army. It's how I paid for college. And it might be on my LinkedIn, but most people when they meet me I don't necessarily scream military. So
Thank you so much for your service, Jason.
Thank you. Yeah, we got America's birthday tomorrow, so we'll be celebrating.
Wonderful. So, Jason, what is Collaboration Room? And maybe what specific problems are you solving for the contact centers?
Yeah, I never get asked what Collaboration Room is. So this is well, what we do is we solve problems that contact centers all across the world have really been trying to overcome for the last 5 years, since the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, I don't know, probably 99% of all contact center agents all over the world were on a floor, a traditional floor where it was engaging, productive, compliant. It's easier to train and coach. And then the pandemic happened, and, these contact center agents got thrown around like a game of 52 card pickup, and they're everywhere. And when I talk to most contact centers, they have been trying to cobble together tools for the last 5 years to solve for this. And so our CEO, Samir, was the CIO of a large contact center, about 6,000 agents when COVID hit. So he started building Collaboration Room really out of survival mode, not like, hey, I see a problem, I'm going to solve it for the whole world. He was just trying to solve it for his company. And so he started building it. And what we are a virtual contact center floor platform. So we help contact centers, frontline leaders to be able to engage with, train, coach, support, manage agents, no matter where they are in the world, whether they're remote, hybrid, on a floor, multiple offices. We just bring everybody together so it doesn't matter where they're working. And you're going to get that same productivity and engagement. And then depending on the type of business our clients are working in, we've developed some AI compliance tools within the platform that make sure that dispersed office is conducive to the same rules that were enforced, on the floor. For instance, if we see a cell phone, we'll let the supervisor know. If we see somebody, shoulder surfing over the agent, the odds are if they're working from home, that person probably shouldn't be looking at the data. So we really just try to take the floor, the traditional floor, mirror it, and put it on a monitor so that, everybody can continue to work from home, but the contact center doesn't have to give up all the things that made the floor great.
Really interesting. And you kind of touched on it a little by saying he started building it out of survival mode. With it being built in-house, when we were looking into it, patented and built, what are some of the features or tools that you guys have that you're super proud of that nobody else in the marketplace really offers.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people when I talk about our platform verbally, because you imagine you're a supervisor sitting at your desk and you turn on your monitor and you're seeing all of your agents simultaneously. They're like, sounds like Teams or Zoom. What really makes us different right off the bat is our patent. So where Zoom and Teams can stream multiple videos, most platforms, every other platform, can only really show you one monitor at a time. So if we were on a Teams call right now, you and I could be on here, but either you or I could show our monitor. But with our platform, when the supervisor looks at their screen, they see the live stream video of every agent, no matter where they're working, and all of their monitors streaming simultaneously. Right now it's 2. We're adding a 3rd monitor for some clients. So I can sit here and watch all of my agents' videos and both their monitors streaming simultaneously. So it's just like that supervisor was sitting on the floor again, and they can see what's going on, and they can tap in and listen to the calls. They have the AI tools to let them know kind of like, hey, what emotion the agent might be in, or are they struggling a little bit just by their facial expressions. They can raise their hand, they can make calls and all that. Now, we're not one of those platforms that just puts agents on camera and they have no idea who the person behind the curtain is. Because if I swung it around the other way, from the agent's perspective, what they see is their supervisor. And actually what they see is anybody in that particular room with a supervisor or higher role. So where most platforms that have evolved since the pandemic really focus on security and compliance, recording everybody, recording keystrokes, recording monitors. That's all data that like 99.9% of the time you're never going to review again. We focus on the engagement between the supervisors and the agents and make sure that that's, because that's the most important relationship in a contact center. So it's a two-way street on our platform. But yeah, I'd say the patent makes us the most different, but all the other tools that our clients have asked us to build within the platform that are specific to contact centers is what makes us even more different from like a Teams or a Zoom. That goes back to the cobbling together of tools that weren't built for the job, but they're doing what they can with the tools that they have, where our tool was purpose-built for exactly what contact centers need with remote and hybrid agents.
And you touched on a few things too, Jason, but what are some of those issues that they run into in the contact center? Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
being on the cell phone or somebody in looking over their shoulder, what have you. What are some of the other issues that people might not think of when they're, dealing with remote agents?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, it's the engagement between the agents and the supervisors. And, when we talked to supervisors early on in the development of the platform, we just said, look, what do you need to be successful? And they said, well, we need to be able to see our agents and what they're doing. So that's where we came up with the patent. And then, we started adding the other tools because they're like, we can't be looking at everybody all the time. All right. So now we have some alerts based on the AI, hand raises, emotions, you name it. So right there is we're giving the supervisors back their eyes, because we as humans, we perceive 80% of our world minute to minute, second to second, based on vision. And we, during the pandemic, we took supervisors' eyes away from them and then expected them to do just as good of a job. Mother Nature laughs at us when you're going to take away 80% of what I gave you and then think you're going to be just as good. So, but then when we turn it around the other way, when we asked agents, what do you need? What is the hardest thing for you working from home? It wasn't loneliness. It wasn't tech problems. They were like top 2, 3, 4. But the number one was they've been wondering where the hell their supervisor is for the last 5 years. So what's beautiful about our platform, if you ask our agents, is they believe they're supervising their supervisor as much as their supervisor is supervising them. And that's called engagement. That's a two-way street. And then probably the one thing we're probably the most proud of that most people never think about is so far we've had 6 reports of a supervisor being able to save the life of an agent who was working from home when a medical emergency occurred. And here's the kicker on that. We've got about 100 clients, 18 countries. Those 6 reports only came from 2 of those clients. So statistically, if you extrapolate that out, we believe we've actually helped save a lot more lives. They just haven't reported those to us. So we didn't build for that, but it's our proudest achievement by far that there are 6 people still spinning around on this rock because of some technology that we built for engagement and productivity.
I am so glad you brought that up. It was actually going to be one of my questions for you because I know through the different conferences we've met at and different customer demos we've done, to me that is absolutely one of your shining qualities is the
It is.
mindset.
I've never sold anything that saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
Um, and when I talk to clients or prospects and I ask them, I'm like, just out of curiosity, has your CCAS ever saved a life? Has your QA, has your conversational AI ever saved a life? Is there anything you've ever put into your contact center that has saved a life? And what people tell me is they're like, wow, I don't think about that. But you know what? If you've worked in a contact center, you've seen this stuff happen. You've seen somebody go into a medical emergency. Like we've had 2 heart attacks, 2 strokes, 1 anaphylactic seizure. Then one we're not sure about, it was probably more sensitive. So they just told us, hey, we were able to help them, but they didn't tell us the reason. But everybody I tell that story to will tell me like, yeah, I've seen that happen in the office. Or they'll tell me like, we had some agents and, or an agent that we thought quit. And they didn't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is like I said, we didn't build for that, but it is by far our proudest achievement.
I love that. Now tell us give us a success story, Jason, about, how you improve stats or engagement or the collaboration. One of your faves.
One of my faves. Oh, I can't use their name because some of these don't allow us to use names, but I can tell you that they're a publicly traded company. They have about 1,000 agents. And what they did was after the pandemic started winding down, because of the nature of the business that they work, it's all financial. They brought everybody back. They brought all 1,000 of the agents back into a contact center. And what happened to them happens to a lot of people when they try this. They traded productivity, security and compliance, training, coaching. They traded those problems that they were having in remote for other problems, which were recruitment and retention and morale. They brought all these agents back and they were losing their best. Other contact centers were picking them off. I mean, I talked to one contact center. They actually look online to find agents on like Facebook who have said that the contact center is bringing them back in. Then they have their recruiters target those areas because they know they can pay them even slightly less, but give them remote. Anyway, they brought everybody back in and it didn't go well. And so they reached out to us. They had a partnership with one of our clients. They're like, hey, we heard about this. They brought them on and they started with the platform in office at first, just managing multiple offices. And then they slowly started moving their agents back home. And this summer, they're closing down 2 of their 3 contact centers, which will save them millions. I really want to say a year. I mean, these were some pretty big, real estate. And that's just it. Contact centers, you're not in the real estate business.
Yeah.
So if you can, and that's probably my favorite because they're like the CFO came on and like, Jason, I don't care what you charge me. You've already got your ROI. And when the CFO tells me, I don't care how much you charge me, that made my day. That might make my millennium right there. But yeah, that's just a cool story of somebody who brought people back in and found out it didn't work. And then we gave them a path back to it. Now, and this is important because the people they were losing, single moms, single dads, people that had the job and then moved when COVID happened and they didn't live anywhere near. These were people that were getting ready to lose their jobs.
Right.
Because they were being brought back in. And that's one of the coolest things about remote is it brings people back into the working world that would otherwise not have that opportunity. Another one, I don't know if I can say their name, but it's a BPO out there that specializes in providing remote work for military spouses. These people that move every 2 years and some of these spouses have never been able to hold down a job. Remote has allowed them to do that. And so it just gives people something that they might not have been able to have. And that, as a kid who grew up with a single mom, that's really important to me.
Absolutely. Now, Jason, I know we've had times where people have said, hey, that might be a little bit too big brother-ish.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
get that a lot.
tell me what you say back to them.
I used to argue when I first started doing this, and arguing with somebody on whether something is Big Brother or not is like arguing with a Republican that they should be Democrat or vice versa. You're never going to win it. I never had somebody say, oh, Jason, you're right. So my response now is I get it. You're right. There is a little bit of a big brother nature to this. But what I also asked them to do is I asked them to change their perspective. Well, let me do it this way. Let's talk about the floor. I asked them, like, tell me about your floor. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, were there cameras? And they're like, yes. I'm like, were they recording? And they're like, yes. I'm like, did the agents know who was watching them through those cameras? No. Did they need a key fob to get from one room to another just to use the restroom? Yes. I'm like, okay, so I'm putting one camera on them that they see. I don't record anything. It's just all live streaming. I'm showing them everybody that can see them. And you're telling me that this feels more Big Brother than the floor. And most people kind of take a step back at that. And I always say, if you change your perception, you change your perspective. And so, yeah, we do have some Big Brother components to this, being able to see if there's a cell phone, seeing if there's another person in the room. If you want to call that Big Brother, I just call it supervision. It's a different term, but I do not argue with them anymore. I almost lean into it. Yeah, there is. But I bet you if you just step back and think about it, it's less Big Brother than the floor. We're like little brother.
Yeah, little brother.
Yeah,
I
little
like
brother.
that.
Yeah, we're just like that little guy, banging around at your knees, But so, yeah, people ask about it. Every single client asks because they're always like, are all my agents going to quit when I turn this on? And I say, look, I got 100 clients. Every one of them is referenceable. What we typically see is that about every 100 people you put on our platform, 2 will quit but most clients will come back and say, yeah, I don't really mind those guys quitting. They just didn't want to be supervised is really what it came down. They had gotten really used to doing just enough work to not get fired.
Right.
But that seat is too valuable for someone doing just enough work to not get fired.
Definitely. What's next for Collaboration Room? Like, what does the next 5 years kind of look like? Do you guys have any new product features or anything coming out that you want to share with everybody?
We've got so many ideas coming into this. One of the things I love about working here is we are a very client-driven roadmap. Now, anybody can say that. I've worked for enterprise-wide technology softwares before where clients would give you ideas and you're like, oh, that's a great idea. I'll put it on the roadmap. And the roadmap was just this big, deep pit where ideas went to rot.
Yes.
But really everything we build is not based on us sitting in our little dark, dimly lit rooms with a bunch of developers and what are we going to do now? When a client comes on board with us, first off, we have 4 weekly calls where, right off the bat, we're working with them. Hey, how's it going? What questions you have? What could work better? What could work different? And then we start moving those out to every 2 weeks and then every month and then, maybe quarterly, depending on the client. But in every one of those meetings, we're eliciting feedback. What could we do differently? What could we do better? And so we have about sprints about every 3 weeks, and we're pushing out that if I just went through the list, you'd be like, that doesn't sound sexy. But to our clients, they're like, oh, that's exactly what we needed to be able to do this and do this and do this. But one of the things that, two things that we're focusing on a little bit more is gamifying it a little bit more, making it more fun, putting some tools in there that are a little bit, they get people excited. They can have a little bit more fun on the platform. And then second is looking to, now that we feel after the last 4 years, we've gotten the platform in standalone mode exactly where we want it, looking at integrating into some of the other platforms. That might be a gamification platform. That might be also, we're talking some of the CCAS systems. So that when you're looking at that agent, you'll be able to see their status, they're on a call for this long, they're in wrap this long, all that kind of stuff. So those are a lot of things, but a lot of the cool things to our clients, if I brought them up right now to you, you'd be like, that doesn't sound big at all. But that's what I love is it's all based on what they want.
Excellent. And just to wrap things up, Jason, I've always been a fan of James Lipton, so we end with a few little rapid fire questions.
All right, let's do it.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. I don't know if I can say that one here. I was born and raised in a UAW town in central Indiana. Most of my favorite words are 4 letters. I would say, oh gosh, what is it that I don't have a favorite word, but I'm going to tell you my least favorite word.
That is the next question.
It's the word supposed, because I can't say it right. It's a few of my words in my Indiana accent. If I'm saying it quickly, post comes out as post. I'm supposed to do this, or I'm supposed. I put a T on the end of it, and I get called out on it all the time. And I literally hate that word, but I use it a lot.
And finally, Jason, what excites you the most?
Well, what excites me the most is, this is going to sound like, like fodder or whatever. I like helping people. I've been in the sales game for a long time. And, people will tell me, like, hey, I think you're a really great sales rep. And my response to that is, I'm really not. I'm not a great sales rep. I'm really great at teaching people and doing my best to help people. And if that ends up with that person buying, then yeah, you can give me credit for the sell. But I'm an empath by nature. I just want to help. And, my wife is like this high D competitive person. And here I am, this empath that just wants to hug everybody and tell them it's going to be okay. And she doesn't love hugs. So that doesn't always work out well. But, no, I love helping people. Going back to the saving those people's lives. I can't tell you how that made me feel when I heard about it. And, so yeah, it's helping people, call it solving a problem or whatever. It's what gets me up in the morning and when I go to sleep at night, and I think to myself, like, I helped this person, maybe personally or professionally. That's what makes my eyes close easier right there.
I love it. Jason, if somebody wants more information about Collaboration Room, who should they call?
Well, right off the bat, they can just call you. Gina is one of our fantastic partners here at Collaboration Room. She knows the platform very well. She knows how to get a hold of me. You can always look for me on LinkedIn and stuff. I'm always doing silly things on LinkedIn, lots of little videos and such like that. It's my creative outlet. And but yeah, just go to Gina, and she'll put you in contact with me, and then we'll take it from there.
Excellent. And we'll make sure to have your LinkedIn in the when we release this too, Jason. But a
I
big
want to
thank
know real quick, what's your favorite word? What is your
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Least favorite word.
Least favorite word for me is can't.
All right. And what do I not know about Gina that I really want to know about Gina?
I'm very passionate about giving back in the community. So my true passion, what makes me happy, is I get to sit on the board of directors for Dress for Success Phoenix. And it is definitely something that makes me happy and I'm very passionate about.
I love that. I love that. My wife and she's very involved, and I get to be involved with several women's charities and we're big pet people here,
Excellent.
Arizona Pet Projects and such like that. So I love the fact that you love giving back. That
Yes.
says a lot about a person right there.
Absolutely. Jason, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I loved learning more and hopefully helping people learn a little bit more about how our remote workers can work more collaboratively together.
Well, Gina, you're the best. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope you have a great 4th of July weekend, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jason, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Tech Matchmaker. I hope today's spotlight sparks some fresh ideas and real solutions for your contact center. Want to dive deeper into the tech we featured? Hit up the show notes for all the links and extras, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if there's a challenge you want us to tackle, don't be shy, reach out. I'll catch you soon with more innovation, more use cases, and more ways to keep your business moving forward. Stay curious, stay bold, and keep exploring what's next.